Hello, can I have your attention, please? It is time for a snippet. Welcome to Sobriety Snippets for Women Over 40, where we elevate our mindset to trade hangovers for higher consciousness, one powerful little snippet at a time. I'm Becca Jacobson. Welcome to Wednesday here in Snippet Land. Welcome back, my dears. If you're new here, welcome home. This is where we do it for women over 40 who've got their lives together but are somehow not able to get alcohol right sized. That's what we do here. And by right sized, I mean out of our lives, out of our lives. This week, we're talking about thoughts. And specifically, we're talking about how to use them as an investment instead of spending them, throwing them away into the garbage and letting them have no value whatsoever. Hey, look, if we've got to be thinking anyway, we might as well get a return on that effort. That's what we're talking about this week. On Monday, we talked about overthinking and thoughts in general. Today, we're going to talk about new ideas and surface dwelling. New ideas and surface dwelling. Surface dwelling is a phrase I made up, at least I think I did. I didn't see it anywhere. It just came out of my mouth one day. And surface dwelling is my version of constantly gathering information and not applying it. It's very simple. No practice, all theory. All theory and no practice makes Jane a very dull girl. We cannot get anywhere in life by surface dwelling on the surface. And I tell you, this has applied to us all our lives, and we're not digital natives, but I tell you, in this digital age, it's even more important because we are bombarded. I don't have to tell you how much information we have access to. And the temptation, dare I even call it an addiction for some of us, is to just sit and get more and more information, meaning doom scrolling, just gathering information, just another podcast and another podcast. You only need this one, by the way. This is the best one if you're a 40 plus woman struggling with alcohol. But seriously, what we need to be able to do is curate what we allow ourselves to intake. So the information coming in needs to be curated, and we need to approach it with intention. What are we willing to hear? What are we willing to see? What are we willing to allow into our minds that automatically affects our emotions and thereby our lives? We need to approach that with intention, curate it, decide, I don't want this in my life. I don't need to hear about this anymore. It's not getting me anywhere. How do you feel before and after you watch something or listen to something? Ask yourself these questions and start to curate your own input. Now, I believe firmly that we need new ideas. So we start by understanding that surface dwelling is getting us nowhere. And so we're going to go deeper and we're going to curate the information we get. And of course, we can't get anywhere without new ideas, which means we do need information. So this is all about deciding what kind of information we're going to allow in. New ideas are really important. See, this is another trap that we fall into, I think, as we get more mature. We get ideas, ways of looking at the world, and we get married to them. We get so attached to them that there's no wiggle room to break them loose or just, wiggle them loose a little bit and allow a new idea to kind of come in and maybe nudge the old one aside and create, well, maybe I could think of that differently, or maybe there's another way of doing this. Just because we've done something the same way for decades doesn't necessarily mean it's the best way. And so we need new ideas. We need to gather them with intention, curate the information we're getting, and then avoid surface dwelling. What kind of information do you want? So I would assume, I think it's fair to assume that every single one of you out there would like to have information that is helpful, inspiring, entertaining. There's nothing wrong with entertainment, nothing at all. In fact, it's one of the healthier distractions we can use when we're giving up alcohol. We can't give up alcohol and just say, there, I'm not drinking, and carry on with our lives the way it was. We just can't do it. There's a gap, there's a hole in our lives that alcohol used to fill. And one of the most harmless ways we can do that is by entertaining ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. But we need to be intentional about it. We can't just sit and doom scroll. We can't just sit and just let all this information just whatever's coming in your feed. That word feed just sounds absolute gives me the creepy crawlies right up my spine. It's such an apt word and such a creepy word. You're letting some algorithm feed you. Like, think about that. When you think about the word feed, what's in your feed? What comes up in your feed? It's feeding you. Close your eyes and imagine that you are sitting there with your mouth open and your eyes closed, just allowing someone to feed you, just cram stuff in your mouth without you really paying much attention to what's coming next, or walking into a restaurant and saying, whatever you're trying to get rid of today, I'll eat it. You know what? Give me yesterday's leftover meatloaf. I'm good with that. Like, we wouldn't do that. We don't just allow anything to be shoved into our mouths. And yet our feed, our social media feed, our email feed is that's what it's doing. Have you ever thought of it that way? Just the creeps. It gives me the absolute creeps. So we start taking over our feed and we decide, no, no, you don't feed me. You don't feed me. I feed myself. I'll decide what's coming in my ears, in my eyes, and thereby into my mind, my heart. So we really want to curate that information that you're getting. Decide what kind of entertainment is healthy for you. I really don't think that it's going to be helpful to watch a lot of violence. Oh man, I was the queen of violent movies. My favorite movie up until sobriety, you know what my all-time favorite movie was? You ready for this? Okay, I'm embarrassed, but here it is. Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. Hello, have you seen that movie? Like, it's not only violent if you haven't seen it, don't bother. It is well, it's Quentin Tarantino, what can you say? But honestly, that was my taste in movies. Another one of my favorites was Fargo, another unbelievably violent movie. But that was how my tastes ran. I'd sit down with my drink and watch a movie like Fargo or Pulp Fiction, and that's what I did. Well, gals, I don't do things like that anymore. And we might think, well, it's not real. I mean, it's just fiction. Honestly, our minds don't know the difference. Our hearts, our subconscious. Who needs to look at blood and guts and gore and rape and betrayal? I don't think it's healthy for our souls, to be honest. However, this is not a moral workshop. Nobody's judging you. If you're giving up alcohol and you need a distraction, by all means, go ahead and watch a movie. I'm just encouraging you to think a little more carefully, maybe, if you're anything like I was, about what you're allowing yourself to watch. But more importantly, it's the feed, the social media feed, your email. Who do you allow into your inbox? That should be curated. These days, what comes into your inbox can be very persuasive. So, step number one, decide what you're going to allow into your mind because that's your thoughts, right? And look intentionally for new ideas that are helpful, new ideas that will help you think of things a different way, a new way, especially things in your life that are causing you difficulties like alcohol. That's why I'm so glad you're here. That's what I want to give you new ideas, or simply another way of looking at an old idea or a reminder. That's what the snippets are. When I think about snippets, which I've been doing for over 3 years now, over 600 episodes, I started this for that reason. Not because I have a whole bunch of new concepts to teach, but because I've been there, I've been through it, I know what it's like, and I couldn't find anyone else who really truly understood what it felt like to be a 40 plus, well, I was 50 plus at the time, woman who's a professional, who's educated, who's well respected, showing up in life, and then suffering in total loneliness and silence around alcohol. That life was so agonizingly painful that I decided I wanted to do something about it. So, here at the Snippets, my goal is to give you a new way of looking at things and remind you over and over again. Gals, adult learning, which by the way is what I did for a career, I was an English professor. I know all about how adults learn, and we learn through repetition. We do need to hear it again and again and again. So if you stay in snippet land, you'll start hearing me talking about similar ideas from different perspectives. That's what we do. It's a reminder. It's not because I think you can't figure it out. I don't think you're stupid. It's just the way we learn. So I'm here to remind you. So new ideas or new ways of looking at ideas. Curate your internal feed by asking yourself, what do I want to hear about? Do I trust this source? And then comes the second part. We have to stop surface dwelling it. Sure, you got a nicely curated feed. You've got the information that you really enjoy. It makes you feel great, but you do nothing with it. That's surface dwelling. We got to stop that, gals. That means we start making limitations. We say, I've heard enough information on this. Let me go and try it. Let me practice it. And I like to suggest that you pick something that really stands out for you and decide you're going to practice it for 30 days and find out if it actually does what it's supposed to do. If you're suggested by someone like me to get yourself a hook phrase, don't just say, oh, that sounds like a great idea. Instead, try it with intention. Remind yourself so you don't forget and try it. Really try it for 30 days. And then you can speak from authority. You can say, this hook phrase thing was a pile of crap. Becca said it would make a difference, made no difference to me, and I gave it a real honest try. That's fine. I'm willing to hear that. I just want to hear that you tried it. Please try it. Try anything we talk about here that appeals to your heart. Not everything will. So we got to stop surface dwelling. We've got to decide I'm going to try this for a long enough time so I can decide for myself whether or not it works. It's a funny thing, we read a book or we hear something on a podcast and then we share it with someone else and we haven't even tried it. We just say, oh, so-and-so, I heard this. But what about you? Do you have experience around it? Can you speak to it? Gals, that's where I get my authority when it comes to this topic. That is the topic of alcohol, the topic of emotional maturity, the topic of making this the best chapter of our lives. I get my authority because I've practiced. I'm not a surface dweller anymore. And I was the queen of it all my life. I didn't even know I was doing it. It never occurred to me. I just loved reading. I loved studying. I loved learning. And I would just keep reading and reading and reading more and more and more information. But I hadn't really done anything. That stopped for me just over 5 years ago in my second year of sobriety. And it makes a huge difference. So today, please, my dears, look carefully at what you're allowing yourself to be fed. I mean, I hope that gives you the creeps now. What are you going to allow them to feed you? And what are you going to do with the information you're allowing into your feed? That's today's message. And this snippet alone, that message alone, combined with Mondays, is enough to change your life. I'm talking, that's how simple this is. This is not a complicated journey. We get powerful, powerful techniques and strategies and ideas that seem so simple. We want to go off and pack a bag and go to complicated land and find something heavier, deeper, and it's not as powerful. The simplest ideas on earth are the most powerful, or I should say that the other way around. The most powerful ideas are simple. All good ideas are simple. If it's complicated, run the other direction because there's nothing complicated about an emotional journey, and that's what we're on here. And yet it can be very difficult, and that's why I'm here. So you've now got a lot to think about. I hope you have your hook phrase from Monday. I hope you're willing to start curating that feed and dig in and get off the surface. And on Friday, I'll be back to talk about your internal dialogue, and I'm going to put you on, you ready for it? I'm going to put you on a mental diet. Don't panic. Don't run. I saw you rolling your eyes. Don't worry. This is not the same kind of diet you do on New Year's Day. This is not the same. Okay, gals. Hey, by the way, are you in my WhatsApp group? I'd love to see you there. Snippet Land, it's a free WhatsApp community with women just like you sharing the journey. Come and join us, and I'll see you there. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back next time so I can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.